The Google Pixel 7 Pro. And until a couple days ago, this was going to be a very different video than what I have today. I thought that I was going to be looking at this device as kind of the last of its kind. The last time that Google released a Pro model for $899, saying, you know what, we don't have to be just as good as Samsung, but we can offer you just enough of the flagship experience, but do it for a lot less. So people will look and say, you know what, it might not be exactly an S23 Ultra, but I'm paying $899 as opposed to $1,200 or more on the S23 side. So I thought that was really a great strategy for Google. And there were a lot of rumors out there that they were going to up the price of the 8 Pro, which I was horrified by because I think that was a bad strategy. So this was going to be kind of the last of its kind as we looked at a retrospective of the Google Pixel 7 Pro after a year. But that's not the case. And we'll talk about why after we talk about today's video partner, Mint Mobile. If you're tired of paying too much for your cell service, then Mint Mobile has a solution for you, especially now with their best plan, their unlimited plan, running at 50% off. $15 a month. Get you great 5G speeds and coverage. So use the link in the description or the QR code that you see on screen and get started today. If you have an older device, they could send a SIM card out to you. If you have a newer device, give them a call, speak to a live human being, and get set up with an eSIM. You can get set up in as little as 15 minutes, so there's no excuse to not switch over and start saving money today. Use the link in the description. Does directly help the channel, but thanks again to today's video partner, Mint Mobile. And we're back. Thank you again to today's video partner, Mint Mobile. Do use that link in the description. Does help the channel, and you can save yourself some money along the way. So thank you for that. So now let's talk about the Pixel 7 Pro and kind of the direction that they're going in. Instead of being the last of the value Pixels, the Pixel 7 Pro is going to be the Pixel that kind of got Google ready to really compete against the flagships. If you remember, the Pixel 6, disaster on release. I hated that device on release for the first 2 months. To me, it was borderline unusable. We had the problems with the Wi-Fi, you had the problems with Bluetooth, you had the problems with the fingerprint sensor. It was a headache, and Google didn't fix it for a couple months. So then, they released the Pixel 7 Pro. They get it together. And the analogy I want to make is, if you know, the Yankees in the early 90s, baseball, they had a manager, Buck Showalter's, now the manager of the Mets. He was there when the Yankees were really bad. And then they got some young players. You may have heard of them. Bernie Williams, Derek Jeter, Mariano Rivera. They got some good players there. And Buck kind of taught him how to play the game, got the team back on a winning track, and got just close, got them to the playoffs, but couldn't quite get them all the way there. And he has a track record of this. Then he leaves, and then they win the World Series the next year, and for a few years after that, they go on a good run. That's, to me, what the Pixel 7 Pro is. It's not quite the winner. It's not quite the device that's going to blow the S23 out of the water. But it is the device that brings Google from the disaster franchise it was with the Pixel 6 to a franchise that's ready to win. They went from a phone that couldn't walk and chew gum at the same time when it was released to a competent, well-made, excellent hardware, software in a good place device. That if now they refine off of this and give us a Pixel 8 Pro with some more improvements and refinements, but keep it at that $899 price tag, oh boy, it's going to be, it has a, I say this, I think this every year, and Google finds a way to make it not the case, always. But if that's the case this year, then Pixel season is going to be a pretty good one for you Pixel fans, because $899 for a device that takes some refinements off of this, makes it better, and competes with Tensor 3 supposedly being better on battery life, supposedly being better on heat. If those things are true, then Pixel's going to have a lot to offer this year. And they can look back at this device here as kind of getting it together, because I love the hardware. It's a second generation where Google proved they could do hardware really well. Software running well. Android 13, I didn't have a lot of problems. Fingerprint sensor worked really well. Didn't have a lot of problems. Face unlock on this device was absolutely brilliant. Didn't have a lot of problems. Battery life took a long time to come in. It was still okay. It was good-ish, but it wasn't what you'd expect on something like an S23 Ultra. Same thing with screen brightness and those things. But, as we've talked about before, and the reason why I thought it was so important that Google stick with the pricing structure this year of undercutting Samsung is that you don't care as much. It's not as much of a problem when you're paying $300 less for your phone than you are with the competitors. That gives you some leeway. That gives you some get-out-of-jail-free cards. So if you're talking about slow charging on this device, it's like, okay, yeah, Pixels have slow charging. However, I'm paying so much less, I don't care. I'm plugging it in overnight anyway. Then you get the Pixel Extras, now playing, which my wife absolutely loves. It's really cool. When I don't have a Pixel in the car and I'm listening to the radio, I notice the difference. Live transcribing, the call feature, when you can just hit buttons and get through automated menus. All of the stuff that Google provides, those value-added things, are really cool, and they work well on your 7 Pro. So when you get that in an attractive package and prove that you could do it, you got the premium metal band, you got the nice glass back, you got the camera, the 5x zoom, which takes phenomenal photos. Again, if you get the regular Pixel, that's okay. You're going to be missing that along with the 120 hertz display. But while it's not a reason why I'd spend, this year it's going to be $200 more as opposed to $300 more, it's nice to have if you have it. I love the 5x zoom on the Pixel devices and the Pixel 7 Pro running well. So overall, I was really impressed with this device. And is a lot of that kind of tinted by the fact of the price? Yeah, absolutely. But that's the point. These devices don't live in a vacuum. It's not a contest of who just can come up with the better phone if it costs $2,000. Price has to be part of the equation, part of the conversation. And that was a big leg up for Google last year. So while I was going to consider this the last of its kind, I'm glad now that Google is going to keep with that pricing on the Pixel 8 Pro and give us another year of this conversation of how much is the gap worth? How much of those extra few features or things that the S23 or S24 Ultra does a little bit better, how much is that worth to you? Because I'll tell you what, as much as people complain about Tensor, as much as people complain about the charging and all the rest of it, this was an excellent package. 12 gigs of RAM. So they did away with that thing. Google for years would under-RAM the devices. No. Flagship level RAM. 12 gigs of RAM. 120 hertz display. Tensor 2 is good enough. Yeah, do you see? It's so many people saying it's trash on benchmarks. That's not what the benchmarks. You could play every game on high settings. You could use every app that you'd want to use. It opens things. It's super snappy. I've never had an issue performance-wise on a Tensor chip. You want to sit there and talk about heat dissipation. You want to talk about power efficiency. Absolutely. You can hammer Google over the head with that. But what you can't do is question the performance of this device because it's been absolutely stellar. And if you're watching this in the future, or if you're watching this after the announcement, don't buy this now for $899, okay? Wait until after. See what these go for on the secondary market. See what the Amazon renewed market looks like on these. If you can pick one of these up for $500, $600, probably around $5, you're winning. Because this device is going to be good for years to come. You're going to get that Google support. You're going to get the feature drops. You're going to get all those Pixel extras in a package that is good, that works well. That's flagship 95%. I would say flagship-esque, but I think that's an insult because it's a lot more than that. It's a lot more, and it's a conversation to be had when we're talking about $300 and $400 and $500 that you could save when you pick up a Pixel 7 or now 8 Pro as opposed to a Samsung Galaxy device. So, overall, I was loving this. I put it back in my pocket for a week. Performance was great. Battery life, so-so, but it was good enough. Got me to that 5.5, 6 hour mark that I always talk about. Display was good enough. Is it the most saturated thing in the world? No. Is it the brightest thing in the world? No. But if it's the only thing you're looking at, it's still pretty darn good. Like I said, save that $300. So I'm glad that this isn't the last of its kind. I'm glad that Google listened to us clearly. They watched the channel. I'm glad that Google is deciding to stick with the pricing structure on the Pixel 8 Pro. So if you are a Pixel fan, Team Pixel, gonna have a lot to be excited about. We'll see. We'll see how the comparisons hold up. If you've made it this far, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Until next time, have that Steve-licious day.